Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. It is week 8 of the NFL season, and I'm gonna need a little
no time for that. No time for that horse shit, Drew. I don't want to hear about your day, your week, anything. There's 16 games.
We got games to handicap.
Real quick though.
Yeah.
Is this a thing? I don't remember this being a thing where there was a week with no buys in the middle of the buy part. Is this a thing that happened before and I just can't remember it?
This is AI. The AI doesn't know how to schedule.
It feels weird, like that we've
AI.
Once buys start, it feels like buys are always a thing. Now there's just no buys. There's so many games.
There were like 2 buys this week, right? Isn't there?
No, there's nobody on buy right now. Every
okay.
single team will be in action. It doesn't seem like a thing. Yeah. Thanks a lot,
You're right.
GTP.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right, well, let's start ripping through these then. We don't need any preamble. Everything I want to talk about is related to these games and these teams, and we'll just bring it up when we get there, I guess, right? Let's start with Thursday Night Football, where haven't had a bet on Thursday Night Football in a long time, and I have one this week, and it's not that complicated. Why is the Bills game under 43, Andy?
There's been a little ineptness with the Buccaneers offense, but I mean, we have to give Atlanta credit. They played tough at times. I guess I was a little concerned. Maybe the short week. I've tried to convince myself on this a couple times as well. But the short week, I guess, if you want me to do devil's advocate, Baker not looking so hot the last few weeks, but this Bills defense is a massive downgrade compared to where we were. Like any metric you want to look at, if you just start isolating it or looking at it as a kind of an overtime where they lose Milano, they lose the pieces in secondary. Basically, if you can make Mac Jones look good, you're not a good defense anymore. There's some issues. Yeah. And all the credit in the world to the coaching staff up there. I liked what they did. Letting the head coach take over some of the defensive play calling. I thought that was going to be a plus. You're not going to overcome losing Matt Milano for that, the year now, right? It's full on. Yeah, he's full
Trey
on
White,
done for
Daquan Jones. Tre'Davious White. He's not walking through that door.
No, losing your best piece in the secondary and the best piece in your linebacking core is an issue. And the pass rush just hasn't been there either. That was 8 different people pointed that out over this week when I saw this. When you go look at that final drive, and I did rewatch part of this game, this is like, oh my God, how are they? Oh no, they're going to lose this game. They're getting no pass rush on that last drive. Yeah. Mac Jones just operating cleanly, and again, you have other issues. So, I think the sweaty part is going to be the Buccaneers getting their points.
Yeah, who has a better pass pro grades for me than the Patriots by a lot? The Buccaneers. Their tackles are playing great. I doubted these guys. I doubted the interior. They've schemed some stuff up in terms of pass pro. They are playing great.
Filer is going to miss, but you still have your tackles. And overall, like you said, it's been a well-graded unit. I think they're going to hold up just fine. Baker's going to have time. How many points do you legitimately think you need out of Baker Mayfield here?
10.
33-10. I like that final.
Yeah. I think that's the key, though, which is that I actually think the Bills could probably make this number themselves. They are forced now to tack back into their old identity of lots of 11 personnel. They are rostered well to absolutely make the Buccaneers pay with wide receiver 1 against single coverage with a heavy blitzing unit that Todd Bowles brings to the table. The Buccaneers, outside of Vita Vea and Antoine Winfield Jr., everybody else is playing below expectations so far this season. And I think Buccaneers defense can be had by this Bills team. And, it's at home. It's good conditions, 10-mile-an-hour winds, 60 degrees, beautiful night in Orchard Park. I think this is one of those games where the Bills kind of lean into their identity of we need to be aggressive, we need to have some explosive offense, and when we score, we're just going to keep our thumb on the trigger. And I think the Bills ultimately get into the 30s here. I think the Bucs can answer. If the Bucs, and by the way, the Bucs are a one-dimensional team. Let's not mince words here. They do have clear offensive problems. Their running attack is so laughably poor, but they know that. Baker Mayfield's in his commentary, people asking him questions is like acknowledging, yes, we are not a running team. Like we should tack away from that. And I think whether they come in with a plan that's more pass heavy or whether they find themselves in a negative game state that makes them pass heavy, either way, I think this is not going to be a game that's going to be shortened by, excessive, 15 play drives that end in a field goal with, lots of methodical running the ball down the field. Like Baker's going to take some shots in this one. He's a gunslinger. He's done well when he's been under pressure this year, weirdly, which I can't explain. And oh, by the way, both of these quarterbacks are capable of what? Back-breaking turnovers that give you advantage field position. So, yeah, short fields are in order. This is an over for me. I don't really have much else to say.
Yeah, Vita Vea, game time decision. He goes out. That's going to kind of loosen up a few things up front, especially with the run game. Maybe almost a negative for the over if Tampa can't contribute. Like you don't want the Bills running well in the second half. You want them, going with some of the explosive stuff. It'll be interesting to see what they do now down so many tight ends. I know a bunch of people, pounded the obvious bet to Kincaid overs, but truthfully, like sometimes the obvious bet is the easy one. If you're just early, like that number was still pretty low. I think it was in the mid to upper 30s for his yardage total. He's going to be a part of that. So Michael in the chat points that out as well. So it's probably going to be, it's a home, it's a home game.
Yeah. Bills, by the way, the joke
about the favorite thing with the teasers. I probably will have this in some teasers, guys.
Yeah, that's solid too. I think Bills 8.5 is a decent look, not a great look. I think my fair makes this 9, so small edge, but at 9 you might as well, you're expecting it to win by 10 if you're going to cover 8.5 or 9. So I'm
a little higher than that. My total is around 44. So I agree with you on most of it.
Real quick commentary.
Candidates for team total over.
Oh yeah, let's definitely bring that back up later on. Put it in the pocket. The joke about Dalton Kincaid and the 22 personnel over the summer was what? That it was really like 11.5.
It was going to be 11.5.
So this is now 10.5, right?
Yeah.
We're thinking Dawson knocks off the field. So it's like 3 wide receivers and another quasi wide receiver, right? The wide position is going to be running a lot of routes here. I think that just the fact that that's what this calls for means the Bills are not going to run very much. It's the only thing that unwinds this total, and the very only reason this isn't like a bigger, higher confidence play, wait for the window and just jam over here is, still a little nervous about some of the throws from Josh Allen last week. He obviously put that game in good, really positive game state for the Patriots with that first pick. And he had a couple of balls that were not really catchable. Weird, little off on the accuracy last week, but I think he'll be fine this week.
You think Allen's fine? I know there were some injury concerns going into last week, and there was a little bit of accuracy. I wondered if that was a thing. He full participant all week. I hope he's fine. I think he's fine. I don't know how much that affected it. I do want to place a lot more blame on the Bills defense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's what I did my downgrading on. For sure.
Also in the rewatch of that game against the Patriots, Bills had a couple of really unfortunate penalties. They scored a touchdown in like what was sort of the comeback time early in that game to make it, one score that comes off the board with a weak sauce holding call. They had a couple of drives kind of flame out in the red zone. There is one problem with the Bills offense, and I don't know if you've seen this floating around there, but when it's like 2nd and 4 to 2nd and 2, it is extremely telegraphed. James Cook run is coming. Like every single opportunity, that was what they ran last week.
Yeah.
which I don't love. So hopefully there's
I don't.
something.
I wonder too if it was like the joke we make with the Andy Reid led Chiefs, where they clearly have the bad playbook some weeks. So it didn't feel like it felt like there was a lot of plays like, oh, that's a garbage, gross like high school play where it's very apparent that's what's coming. There was no misdirection, there was no subterfuge. You just ran a play to ran a play. Yeah, I'm with you there. I agree with you on most of this, though. And we need Josh Allen to start scrambling. We need him making good decisions. And obviously, this is a big spot. You got to win this to keep pace. You want to win this freaking division, guys.
Bills are back against the wall. They got some tough games and some tough quarterbacks coming up. They cannot fiddle fuck around. Let's move to Sunday. Talk about New Orleans at Indy. Wrong team favorite.
This is off the board at some places.
Really?
Yeah, we took some Saints on the Sunday night. I feel like the number was pretty close. Like it was still just kind of sitting in that.
Yeah, why is it locked? Hopefully that's good news, Saints. Hopefully it's not Olave's been snap suspended for this game.
Yeah, I really don't think that was.
They wouldn't take internal action and internally suspend him, would they?
He wasn't. Oh, thank you. Bet Online has New Orleans pick'ems. Got a decent number. It's annoying that at that point in the week you can't really bet money lines, but I think it was +1.5. I'll have to check the account. That's what it was Sunday. So moved a little in our favor. I said I like this under, just black boxing it from my model, whatnot. But you had some really good points about New Orleans being a very game state dependent team, and kind of soured me on looking at this total at all, which was good because I do believe the total has been steamed up a little, and why not? You saw Minshew look pretty decent against a tougher defense. They will be at home again. I wonder if there's some coverage splits we could look at for Minshew, because whenever you see a quarterback that looks crazy good one week and crazy bad the last week, sometimes you got to look at the other matchups. Pass rush,
I'm going to need you to point me to the crazy good tape, because the reason that the Colts
crazy good, relative.
Okay. Yeah. The reason
I'm not putting him up there with the MVPs, but
my takeaway is
a lot
for
better
Minshew,
than 5 turnovers or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. His turnover-worthy plays were a hair down last week, although he did put 7 points on the board for the Browns, and that ultimately mattered. But
was, average instead of crazy.
Yeah. Okay. The major thing I noted from last week was the Colts gained a pretty unbelievable amount of yak against the Browns, which was a surprise because the Yak Kings and the Niners were able to do anything, and the tackling was so good the week prior. I don't know what in the world got into Browns defense last week, but they were like just weirdly playing soft except for Garrett. And I think Gardner Minshew's bad. I don't think Gardner Minshew should be favored against the Saints and a good defense and a well-coached defense. And it's just, this doesn't check out to me. Saints have exactly the right personnel to really stop the running game for the Colts. So this is on Gardner Minshew's arm, and Marshawn Lattimore taking one to the house, sign me up. And just in general, like, I don't love the Saints by any stretch of the imagination. Like, there's a lot of things that really, really frustrate me about this team when we can start and end with the offensive scheme. But the truth is, whether they're in a positive game state and they want to do their dink and dunk garbage and slow the game down and try to win an ugly game, or whether they're in a negative game state and they get aggressive and they start attacking down the field, and Carr is, dropping dimes to Rashid and Olave, like it. Either way, I think the Saints are either in control and win or can come back. They're going to be live until the final whistle in this game, in my opinion. And I don't have long-term buy signals on the Saints for any reason, but 10 days to prep for a Colts team and Gardner Minshew being the quarterback does not add up that the Colts should be favored in this game. So I played Saints. I think I got plus 105 on the money line. So I'm happy the market's coming with me on this.
Yeah, I took the plus 1.5 that bookmaker that night. I probably won't be adding smaller amounts earlier in the week, usually topping off. I have some Saints to win the division. I have some Falcons to miss the playoffs. I'm basically already leveraged on the Saints to win this game outright a little bit through those futures anyway. So I'll probably leave this one alone. And as Drew said and alluded to again during the show, maybe a spot to kind of look at some live totals in this one, depending on the game state.
Yeah.
Especially, I love a noon live bet.
Saints are also quietly getting healthier. Demario Davis is the player to watch. He was a limited participant in practice. I'm hopeful that's like vet rest thing because he matters a shit ton. The only guys that DNP'd were James Hurst and Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is an illness, so he'll probably be fine. And honestly, if Alvin Kamara is not getting 15 targets in this game, am I losing sleep? No. Like I think we can throttle that down, guys. We can take a little bit of those plays and we can. Yeah, I'd almost rather see them hand it off to Taysom Hill more and target Alvin Kamara 5 yards behind the line a little less. Is that crazy to ask?
Yeah, they were great if you had his receptions over prop. Otherwise, as far as moving an offense, it wasn't all that good. It was a lot of just check down for the sake of checking down, take anything, not, hey, this is our aggressive offense moving forward. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to Pittsburgh. Where we're going to get a rain game by the looks of it. Almost certainly there will be weather in the forecast here. And I was initially thinking this was going to get to 3 for the Jags, and I wanted to be on, staked up to the Jags early here. But I think there's a case to be made that the Jags are a stay away right now against the Steelers team for reasons that are really tough to put into words, but I'll try. There is a whiff here of the Jags defense being a little Jekyll and Hyde. Like in neutral game state, early game, like with the defense they're calling, that they're playing way above what we expected. Do you agree with that? Like early in games, this defense is outperforming your expectations by margin. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean the pass rush I did not expect to be looking like this. Obviously,
okay.
They had some cover. They had some coverage pieces that I like, but yeah, in general, it's a lot higher than I had for, like they're out on a whisker.
Yeah, early in games, I'm seeing good tackling. I'm seeing good run stop. Maybe even great run stop. An affinity to take the ball away. Decent coverage. Maybe good coverage in some against some pretty talented squads. But then when the Jags have a lead of a touchdown or more, this unit just absolutely turtles. I don't understand how the Bills were not put away more effectively in that game in London. I don't understand how Gardner Minshew and the Colts scored all of those garbage time points against the Jags in Jacksonville. And I don't understand how the Saints were able to come back in that game against the Jags last Thursday. Like the disparity in the quality of performance defensively, first half, second half, was noticeably like tough to wrap my head around. And if it were it not for that pick six that they got early in the second half, Jags probably lose on Thursday. And I feel like they're playing with a little bit of fire here, not putting teams away more comfortably. And it's a two-edged sword, but it's mostly the defense. I think they go way just too prevent-y.
You're right too, but it is the offense. Like you turn into a prevent offense as well, where
sure.
it becomes a little less aggressive. And I wish we had some example of a team that was
actually
looking like they were completely stopping the Steelers and then let them get back into it. Last week
and the week before,
Steelers had not
Ravens and Rams got let it right on through in the last couple of weeks. But the offense actually is kind of weirdly complicit in a different way, in my opinion. Like rather than matriculate and eat clock and play keep away, like they score a 45-yard touchdown to Kirk. Travis Etienne breaks a 40-yarder, right? And so they're just giving their opponents chance after chance after chance with the ball. And yeah, if you're kind of keeping a margin of 14 points and letting them come back to 7, so be it. But the Saints had the ball with the chance to win that game.
Yeah.
At the end. And the Buffalo Bills were pretty damn close. The the Colts weren't going to come back, but you gave up so many garbage time points. I guess what I'm just getting at here is in a game state where the Steelers come out and do their normal, we suck on offense.
Oh no, we're not any good. Don't pay any attention to us.
And the Jaguars like have some competency early in this game, and they're moving the ball and they're scoring some points. Like I think this opens up into a very, very wide open type of a game in the second half. And I think 41.5 is probably a little bit too low. The Jaguars have exactly the right makeup in terms of really, really good skill position players to test a Steelers secondary that might stink. And I think, last week, were it not for 7 points left on the field by the Rams kicker, Steelers probably aren't winning that game. And the end of game stuff with the spot was equally weird to help the Steelers. Yeah. Like the voodoo is as strong as it's ever been for Mike Tomlin. I needed that spot. Good spot. But it was a good spot for the under. It was a good spot for a lot of things. But I just basically get the sense that the Jaguars, they're going to be able to move the ball. They're going to be able to score on the Steelers. And I think that sets up a game state where the Steelers are answering late and have the ball a handful of extra times. And I think this is a pretty clear play to the over. And I'm just holding. I mean, obviously care about both of these teams succeeding over the balance of the season based on my preseason action, but the Jags feel more real to me in the long run. And so I'd rather they win this game because Tomlin kind of getting this another voodoo win here, like that's going to run out eventually. He's not winning coach of the year, I don't think. I'm ready to write that one off. And so I'd rather the Jaguars actually still get to the finish line in the AFC South and are a factor in the playoffs. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, stay away game. I make this an under just because if you look at it from 10,000 feet, a lot of the metrics for the Steelers are going to want you to bet unders. But like you said, with the weird voodoo, what we saw, the little burst of, hey, this is still a thing, and we have Pickett and Pickens. They have this nice connection. The Jaguars defense being, like you said, very up and down within a single game every week. I wanted no part of this. I'm very much on market. I make this right pretty much on 2.5. It's a fair number. It's a tough place to play on the road. It's a non-divisional game, but still, I'm very close to this. I'm no thanks here. Like I think it's a close game at the end, and I don't want to be side and total. I think it probably comes down to like the last few drives. And
okay.
I'm not. I don't know. Like,
what's the
total? I'm with you as far as like the total could get just blown out. Like in the second half, like what we saw last week, we were very close to having 9 points in the first half of the Rams Pittsburgh game.
Yes.
And then there's a late touchdown, and then suddenly, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this total's in danger. Like under the live total was like 30. And suddenly we're back up at like 44 again. I don't need this in my life. So I can see, the weirdness that has been the Steelers offense, turning it on a little bit here and there against the Jags, kind of making this a spot for second half over.
Okay. Well, the Jags have had 10 days to prep, and the Jags go on by after this. So this is their one game in the span of like 26 games, 26 days, which is weird. I didn't do the math right, but
they just played 3-11.
Yeah, they played 3-11, and now they have one in like 20.
I looked at that too. I just kind of shrunk down the RBS doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and looked at like oh shit, in that like span, Trevor's a top 5 quarterback, because it was like an eye test thing where he looked really good, but the Jags have been tricking me all year, so no play for me here unless I end up on a Pittsburgh teaser.
Yeah, Jags had a couple of like outlier negative EPA plays on offense early in the season, which kept his numbers down and kind of kept people off the scent of the Jags for a little while. And honestly, like just in general, the offense does feel like it has had more flow the last couple of weeks. So I think they are building to something special, and I hope that they are effective.
No matter what you use, if it's CPOE, EPA, or mashed them together, success rates, he is, over the past 3 weeks, top 5 quarterback. He's looked very good over a short stretch. So if he continues that, it's a
Mickey is right, though. The Jags D did look tired in the second half for this versus Saints. I agree with that.
Maybe the 3 games in 11 days kind of plays into that.
International travel doesn't help either.
It's fair.
So yeah, I mean, maybe the Jags defense just puts together a complete game, and this is Jags wire to wire. I again, like I benefit the most from the Jags, I think, because I don't realistically believe the Steelers can keep getting away with this. So
The voodoo is something though.
I mean, there's a realistic chance that I'm actually, you know what's surprising, Andy?
The Rams were dumb though. Like that was a dumb result
dumb.
for the Rams.
Yes, that was dumb. The thing I was gonna bring up is, you know, there's been years where like the Bears started like 5-2, right?
Yeah.
And the DVOA tweets are popping up like, this is the worst 5-2 team in history. No one's saying that about the Steelers.
Really hard to use early in the season.
Yeah.
I wait till like week 9, 10.
Okay. It still is, though. This has to be one of the most poorly graded 5-win teams of all time. It has to be.
I mean, what do you think their point?
Are they even 5 wins or 4 wins? They have.
I thought it was 4 wins.
Yeah, they had the bye. Sorry, 4-2.
So
this has to be one of the most poorly grading 4-2 teams of all time.
They have a negative 24 point differential right now. So the Pythag would probably say they shouldn't be a 4-2 team.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about this teaser leg, but I'll tease it because I tease them all if they're in. If it stays, at 2.5, it's gonna end up in a couple of teasers. That's how life works.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. I played some over there. Houston, Carolina, another game I got action on. So far, 4 for 4. In a week where I didn't really love the board. Here we are. You want to set this up a little bit? Texans at Panthers.
Yeah, downtown Thomas Brown taking over play calling. Good timing, obviously, and I think maybe this was always the plan. There's a lot of writers that speculated this before the season even. And, you get the 2 weeks to take over, play call. Not only that, but it frees Reich up to make head coaching decisions rather than worrying about that. Because just in general, there has been maybe some puzzling decisions. And obviously it's a bad team. We don't harp on it as much when teams aren't like, oh my God, if they just won that one game where he made that bad decision, we'd be right there. It's easier to gloss over some of it, the mistakes from this Carolina team, because they don't matter. They're not a part of even, a wild card picture unless something really wild happens. So, it's a goofy spot because I think preseason when we saw this, the schedules, and you can speak to this because we've been over this, what the preseason look ahead line for this was like, there just weren't going to be spots where we thought the Texans would be laying a field goal on the road. And granted, it's against one of the worst teams in the league, and that's something, but it's still a divisional game, and it surprises me that people are pushing this out on the Texans this much. They have some good young receivers that are starting to vibe a little, and Stroud has been clean, like not just like Badgent clean, where it's like he went and did the like he has had some big throws. He has some nice young receivers, and you can't really say that. It's been a lot of Adam Thielen in Carolina, but I'm excited to see this Carolina, offense with a new play caller. See Bryce open up a little. I did play Bryce rookie of the year, just had a huge number because he's the only other quarterback really that is remaining with Anthony Richardson down now, and the number's probably a little big. Seeing how it's this early in the season, and we might have this nexus event or whatever you want to call it with, oh my God, Thomas Brown took over and he's thrown 7 touchdowns in 3 games and, averaging 280 yards. And suddenly all of a sudden you have a narrative, and then suddenly he's 10-1 and you can lay off some Stroud if you want. But I like this over. Not only the model point to it, but I kind of dug in a little, and pacing and scoring and red zone numbers, it was good enough to push this kind of, I'd like this more at like a 45. I missed the best of the number by not playing the totals early in the week, but I did play this over. And if I had a side preference, it would be Panthers with a bullet, backing the team who has not won a game yet. It's just three in division against 2 kind of young, unproven teams. Young head coach.
So Dan fixed the marquee to the Texans whale, which is especially funny because it was the Titans whale, and the Titans are going to be wearing Oilers uniforms this week. I don't have an Oilers
I think
whale.
that's what threw him.
Yeah, the Panthers. I mean, this is not a very complex handicap. I agree with everything you're saying about the fact that the Panthers offense.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep saying divisional game. I know it's clearly not. I keep putting these. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I keep putting these teams like in the same bucket because they have hey, here's a new head coach and here's a new young rookie quarterback. Yeah,
and these are young franchises. These were franchises that were added to the mix in the 90s, 2000s in the case of the Texans. This is a relatively straightforward handicap, which is, as you kind of mentioned, the Texans have been upgraded pretty appreciably through 6 weeks. You are correct in that their preseason market numbers had them favored in only 3 games, none by more than 1.5, and that was hosting Arizona. Every road game they were dogs, including this one where they were 3-point dogs. So preseason, the market was telling you there was about 1.5 difference where the Panthers were better than the Texans. What was informing that difference was you had a lot of veterans on the Panthers who had pedigree. They had performed well in this league. You had players who we thought were going to take a step forward in this league. The Brian Burns and the Derek Browns of the world anchoring this defense was expected to be, sort of the backbone of a squad while the offense figured things out. And it has been a poor start to the season for the Panthers, to put it as understated as comically as possible. But I think the fact that they are getting better on tape week in, week out is noticeable. Specifically on the offense, I think has gotten better. And now the handover to Thomas Brown has the potential to bring in a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of the unknown, and potential for better sequencing and just in general, more cohesive offense than we've seen. So I think the Panthers,
you know where he came from.
Yeah, he's a Ram guy.
He's a Ram guy. He's a McVay guy. And that's a big part of, I caught up with some of the film guys stuff this week. And even last week, because they were talking about this already. They said like a big problem is there's not a lot of motion, not a lot of pre-snap motion, not a lot of spots for, hey, why is only Adam Thielen, doing well? Because he's just a savvy vet who can find his way, into spots to get a lot of catches, but nobody else is getting any separation. If we can see some of the magic that we've, gotten used to in LA with, the McVay just scheming all these guys, bringing in a rookie from like the 5th round from BYU and just turning him into Cup Junior all of a sudden. If we get more of that, then maybe it does open up this offense a little. My issue and why I am stuck on the total a little more than the side is some of the injuries. They're a little beat up, like Luvu, Woods.
Yeah,
were limited.
Defense is concerning.
Von Bell didn't practice.
No,
like there's 3 or 4 injuries on the defense for the Panthers that were a little concerning.
Yeah,
I know we have Robert Woods didn't practice. I don't know if that actually affects me a whole lot, but Tunsil was limited. That's important, obviously, for the Texans. So the injury news is kind of leading me towards an over as well.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe it's because the Texans and Colts are in the same division.
Yeah,
I just kept looking at the rookie quarterbacks going at it twice.
Sure.
Now we don't even get that. That just broke my brain that I put these teams in the.
Yeah. So anyway, I think you're selling high to a degree on the Texans. I think you're buying low to a degree on the Panthers. The fact that this is a 6-point delta from a clean 6 from the preseason expectation is a lot. I get it if you want to have downgraded the Panthers based on what you've seen, based on the fact that they have defensive injuries. If you want to have downgraded them from the preseason expectation, fine. If you want to have upgraded the Texans, fine. But 6 is a lot for what we have, 6 games between, each of these teams that plays 6 games. It's just not enough of a sample to have 0 weight on a preseason prior, in my opinion. And I think the underlying kind of hopefulness here is that the Panthers offense figures it out and can play from ahead. I'm also color me unwilling to say that CJ Stroud has impressed enough to this point in his young career to be a 3-point favorite on the road. I'm not there. Like, if this had been a pick 'em, I don't think I would have even spent 5 seconds thinking about this game. But at 3, it's just a bridge too far, and it feels like a decent opportunity to buy a low end, sell high in the same spot. Two-way type of reaction here, and this might be the only and final bet I make on the Panthers all season. It's possible.
Yeah,
this might be.
I have the Panthers incredibly low, but I still have home field advantage. There's no buy advantage.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're both off the buy, but I still make this 2.4. So
yeah.
I'm
and if you really want some,
and that's after huge adjustments on both teams.
Right. So you fundamentally, in my opinion, have line value in this game. And the question is, are there other externalities that help kind of push you into, well, I'm gonna walk away from it, or let's take this. And the externalities for me are the change in offensive coordinator, I think will help. To the degree that a team that is winless coming out of their bye, having everybody basically say, you made the wrong pick at quarterback. Like, the narratives and the story being told about this team right now, if Frank Reich can't get their best performance to date this week, then scrap it, fire everyone. Like, they have a good staff. They have had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They've had 2 weeks to self-evaluate and figure out who they want to be. Like, this is, if you don't get your best performance out of your guys this week, then start over. So
sure.
Okay. Let's move on.
Over 40. There was a 40. No, that was the other one. This one's pretty much 43.5. I was going to say, I got a cheaper 43.5 earlier today, and that's what I'm on. 43.5, 03. Happy with that one. Philly, Washington. Little bit of trepidation in the market, considering the knee brace and the fact that we have tape on these two teams playing already this year, and it didn't go as smoothly as it went against, say, some of the other teams they've beaten the tar out of and just been able to take the air out of the ball in the second half, or even Miami, where they just kept putting it on them. This is a tough one. This is a divisional game for real this time. I swear it. Looking at my pricing on this, because I know I do love Philly. I guess talk me out of Philly. Am I gonna lay a bunch of road favorites? Is that what we're gonna do this week? Because we're gonna get to Baltimore, guys. Man. I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be the same fucking conversation. But I clearly have this over a touchdown. I know there's some injury concerns, but Washington is very hit and miss for me right now. And when I look at my ratings for them, both offensively and defensively, it's just kind of been down and to the right all season. I was higher. I liked Howell. I liked that we, got to see a little bit of. It's a live arm. Like, it was a lively arm. It looks like he had some zip. He wasn't making terrible decisions. We like some pieces on this defense. It just hasn't come together. And this does feel like a team that might be putting some of these guys on the trading block if they don't get this one. Yeah. Because they can't really keep both edge rushers. Like, one of those guys is going to go anyway. Why wouldn't you trade one? So, I don't know. Like, I might just lay it with the Eagles. The issue would be, some of the situations the Eagles have had in the second half. So, maybe this is Andy lays the Eagles -4 first half or whatever it is. It's probably close to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to add. I haven't played this game. I think this is Eagles
3.5. I get a 3.5. I'm going to play that.
It's not crazy.
Betting it right now.
The Washington experience is getting bad quick. That was a it feels like a long time ago that the Hogs were frisky. And I bet the Commanders at a bigger price on the road against this Eagles team. And at that time, there was factors at play that I don't really think are factors anymore. I think the fact that the Washington offense is starting to change for the worst to try to find ways to keep Howell from getting sacked is a huge red flag. Okay. If you have a young quarterback who is not processing quickly enough and is holding onto the ball too long and is taking sacks,
you need to have 3 tight ends in tomorrow. Like,
that's Well, that's what they're doing. Like that's what
It's
they're
still not working.
Well, no, but they literally are like, well, we gotta add protection, but then that's taking away route runners, and the route runners that they have are like now you're up against teams that have
self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's yes. He's like, so he's holding it on to it longer, and it's like, well, no one's open. I don't want to throw. I can't scramble. Like, there's no way I can even get out of this pocket. It's so big, and he takes a sack anyway, or he throws it out of bounds, or he throws an interception, trying to fit it into a tight window. So, like it's the offense is curdling because they have identified the problem correctly, but they are attempting to correct it the wrong way, in my opinion. I think you need to get him quicker, easier throws. You need to help him identify, pre-snap stuff. You forget about the complicated stuff. Like, just make it easier for him to complete stuff right in front of him, so that he is not holding onto the ball.
Go look at what the Bears did last week. Just do that.
What a call. The Bears got away with the most conservative passing attack in all of the years of data on Pro Football Reference, which is not that many
from a
years,
guy who basically played in
yes.
He played in like a fifth-rate high school stadium from Texas in college.
Yes.
Like,
you know what they didn't ask him to do? They didn't ask him to sit in the pocket, read defenses, and make precision passes 10 yards down along the sidelines. They gave him easy stuff. And that's what the Commanders need to tack into. But for whatever reason, what we're seeing on tape is not that. And it's making defenses like the Giants defense look good, which is
that was a horrible game. Forbes isn't panning out on the other side of the ball. Just like looking at the secondary grades. I mean, so I think Patrick said this. He just said like AJ Brown and Devonta Smith versus the secondary. Yeah, it's Goddard. Like, they have we do say Goddard. We keep it French. That's I can't not do the joke. Like, how does VR do it? Goddard. They have a lot of good receivers. They have a lot of good weapons, and the secondary has been getting kind of sliced and diced. That said, you caught. It's almost like the manic depressive cycle with Howell. Sometimes you get these games where if you let him have an inch, he will make some throws. And that's kind of what we saw. Like, it was a good enough performance last time. I just don't rate it happening again. From what we've seen enough tape on this team, you kind of know how to defend this. If that's what they're going to do and go max protect, you have the pieces to cover what they're going to throw at you for secondary. So Eagles first half -3.5.
Yeah.
It worked out last time. I did that versus the Jets.
Yeah.
They lost that game.
Yeah, super separate sidebar here. I am going to watch this game carefully without betting it, because I care about getting a feel for how Jalen Hurts is doing, and if he's, and what's going on there with the knee injury. I know he's full participant, and they're saying everything's good, but they put a brace on it. Like, that can't mean nothing. And I also kind of back in my head, I'm starting to count the number of tush pushes. Because not that people are going to solve it, but it does feel like the narrative is starting to pivot to it's hurting players, right? Yeah. And it's like, how are you using this in the right high leverage situations, or should you save this for the really, really high leverage situations? Because 4th and 2 in the first quarter of a game that you're probably going to win anyway, going away. Like, if they're using the tush push in this game, I'm going to be like, Sirianni, we got to have a talk, buddy, because we don't want to get Hurts injured. We don't want to get
use it. Why wouldn't you, though?
The quotes from Lane Johnson were not good. Jason Kelsey's maybe your most important offensive lineman, maybe the most important offensive lineman in football. It's tough to say, just based on how valuable that play is. If he gets hurt, like, season over.
Yeah, you're done doing that. Yeah, it's crazy how much more important he is to that than even
Hurts. It's crazy.
The way he gets off after, like, he gets off faster than some of the guards, and he has to snap the ball.
Yeah. So just in general, like, a little bit of let's just win some games without using the good plays, guys. I would like to see the Eagles do that. I would also like to commend the Eagles on getting Kevin Byard out of Tennessee. Well done. You know what else we should have happen in the between now and the trade deadline? Good teams should go get good players from teams that are going to tank, and we should put them on good teams.
Yeah.
I think across the league, let's just go ahead and do it. Is that too much
Just
to ask?
Collude, guys.
Yes.
Everybody help each other out.
Let's put the good players on tanking
teams.
teams, and let's take them off of those teams, and let's put them on good teams.
Do you remember when I placed the Shanahan Coach of the Year ticket way back, and somebody argued with me on it, or they just said like, it's basically the Sirianni argument too. Like, you can't bet that, so I went and did it anyway. So I have a small Sirianni ticket at I think he was 30 crazy during the offseason. So
I'll tell you what, man, if he gets the one seed, dude,
it's sort of live. It's sort of it's still, we have, you have the McDaniel and the Campbell, and that's an issue. But if he gets 15-2, 16-1, we're live.
Yeah,
they only have one loss, right? I'm not saying something silly.
So first, if they get the one seed with the schedule that they have coming up, Sirianni 100% deserves to be in the conversation.
Oh yeah, they have a hell of a if they get through that haymaker and get the one seed for sure.
He deserves to be in the conversation. I'll make a case for it at least. All right, let's move on to LA and Dallas. God, did I want to get some? I wanted some way into this game. I've tried to come at it a dozen ways. This has happened to me now, I think, in 3 or 4 Dallas games this year, where I've just been like there's a bet here. I know there is, and I couldn't figure out what it is. You got an angle here? Because Rams Cowboys should be good. This should be watchable. I don't want to. I bet every Rams game to this point in the season. I feel like we should know this team well enough to have a bet here, but I can't figure it out. Have you solved this one?
I did play a little under. Not one of my favorite angles, but kind of based more on the Cowboys. But the Rams offense is stoppable at times. They do need to run it a little, and what they have left isn't great. They're kind of in the Bears situation where they're down 1 million running backs as well. I guess it's Hendo again. It's kind of what you roll with, but Dallas, very good. It's still a good defense. It's not as good as it once was after the injuries. Losing your linebacker, losing Diggs, that shit is important, but it's still a good enough defense. They've got really good red zone. They just don't let teams get to the red zone. I think they're 5th in that during the year. Just keeping teams from getting all that close, and then they're just average once they get there. But there's only 4 teams that have allowed fewer trips to the red zone, and then their red zone offense is kind of shitty too. I'm kind of banking on the more I looked at this and looked at how the matchups would work if Rams can't run the ball again, and we're struggling on short yardage, third down percentage, which. We'll see how the Rams do on offense. They're just okay on third down, a little above average. If that's a problem against this defense because they can't run again, it's just going to be a shitload of field goals, and it might not be all that watchable. Yeah. So we need big plays for this one to kind of get loose, but I have it as a tight game, and I have this total a couple points under 45. So
okay. So under.
I'm under. Not my favorite look, but I did take 3 totals this morning. And that was
in today's scoring environment, 45 feels like 55.
I think average through last week was 44, just a shade under, shade over, somewhere in that. And that includes a game where
you mean what the average? Still. You mean the average of what totals output was? I think it was under 44.
Yeah,
the average total has been 44, I think.
The average total is about 44 right now.
Anyway,
I haven't updated that.
I will say the
and the Rams don't have it. What if it's a bunch of field goals? Rams don't even have a kicker on the staff right now.
Yeah, they signed the practice squad kicker from the Browns who used to kick for the Colts, maybe. That's what I remember seeing this week.
Sounds like that from Ferris Bueller.
Also, by the way, we kind of buried the lead here. Congratulations to Sean McVay for bringing a healthy baby boy into the world. Yes.
Happy swag.
He may have the new dad karma going this week. We'll see. But I think the Rams are a clear bet on, in my opinion, going forward if they are facing a team that cannot generate consistent pass pressure with bringing only 4. That is, I think, all that you have to kind of decide, right? Are the Rams? Yeah,
you're saying Stafford with time is fine.
Yeah, Stafford. And
he's a very good quarterback.
Stafford can win as a dog with time. Stafford can win as a dog if you can only generate pressure with blitz. He can cover if you can only generate pressure with blitz, right? Like he is a bet on in those games. The Cowboys are the quintessential opposite of that. They are so phenomenally good at bringing only 4 and generating pressure that they are setting setting impressive marks. To the detriment of us in the preseason Micah Parsons DPOY camp, everybody has to double team Parsons, and I think that may be opening up opportunities for everybody else. But we
need him to do something amazing.
Yes,
join the party, have a big amazing.
My favorite analytics tweet of the week. Shout out to Arjun. If you are not already following him, let me give you the correct Twitter account because it's moved around. Arjun Menon. Arjun Menon 100. He went through and he looked at front 4 only.
Oh, just front 4 combos.
Different front 4 combos. Who is winning? Who's creating the most pressure? Only bringing 4. Let's pull the best combo from every team. The NASCAR front 4 for the Cowboys, which is Parsons, Fowler, Armstrong, and I forget, and Lawrence. They've only been on the field and rushed 11 times so far, but they're generating pressure on 90% of snaps because they are that fast. And that feels like an absolute ace in the hole that the Cowboys can deploy at their will later in the season in big games. And if you're a quarterback that has either questionable protection or needs time, then I kind of feel like you're drawn dead against those guys. And that's where we're at here with the Rams. So I wanted to play the Rams. I'm going to pass. I think your points about them not being
I'm at about a 7
real
here.
Too.
It depends how much you want to give extra win probability for the rest. I tend to give that to good coaching staffs more. I think the play calling has gotten worse since early in the season.
Yeah.
I think that might continue to be a theme, and I think the Cowboys still might win games because they have so much talent.
Yeah. Yeah. Cowboys, if the Cowboys have a lead at halftime, they're a bet on. I could tell you that. Even though Dallas and Philly play next week, Andy.
I'm pumped for that. There's some good games coming up here soon. Philly, San Francisco is not that far off.
I have not made
it. Will it be Darnold?
Of a look ahead spot though. Neither of these teams are bet against because of a look ahead. I'll tell you that much for sure.
Under, let me look at my price here. Under 45 on the nuts. We will, Drew. You should find that Twitter handle and put it in the comments.
Oh yeah, I will.
It's not a John Smith type of name where everyone knows how to spell Arjun perfectly. Yeah, there we go.
No problem. Yeah,
Menon,
great stuff
by Menon.
Great stuff by him. All right, let's move on to New England, Miami.
New England, Miami. There's been a little hunger for the Patriots. People are back. They're back. Oh, this look ahead was like 13. And obviously, when two teams go opposite directions in the previous game, you're going to have an adjustment. But even with some places opening 10, some Patriots money came in, got snapped up. This is not a place they've ever played well, but that's a whole lot of points, guys. It's still a whole lot of points. We saw 2 good drives from the Patriots in the second half versus the Raiders. We saw some good drives versus the Bills. I don't know. I had to think this out because I've been very critical about New England, fairly, but a big part of my adjustment for the Ravens and part of the narrative, the thought process was, hey, I should be easy on this team. They have a new coordinator. It takes time. It takes time to implement the offense. I can give them some leeway for the mistakes.
Give them some runway.
Discombobulated look we saw. If I'm going to give that to the Ravens, I kind of got to get it because Bill O'Brien, whatever, like however you want to, characterize him as a head coach and a kind of a knob dick of a person. Like, I still think he knows what he's doing when he's calling an offense. And sometimes that does just take time, especially when you give him 9 wide receiver threes, some tight ends that aren't turning out to be as good as they thought.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have a ton to work with, and putting together some good drives it's been okay. And, they lost some pieces on defense. It's still a good above average defense. This is not a bad team.
Yeah.
It's just not a good one.
So the Patriots had a problem through a handful of games, and that was their offensive line had no continuity. They were pass protecting extremely poorly, and that was trickling into Mac Jones being virtually unplayable. Bill O'Brien, rather than decide to bring in max protect and only send two guys who can't create separation out on routes, elected to reduce the attempted air yards for Mac Jones to the degree where he had a bottom 10. He gave him the teabag treatment. He gave him the old teabag. Bill B.O.B. Old butt chin himself gave Mac Jones the teabag treatment. 3.1 average depth of target last week. That is historically low. Going back to when Pro Football Reference started tracking air yards in 2017, this is a bottom 10 in terms lowest 10 in terms of air yards per target for a quarterback with 20 attempts in a game. And it was effective. He was fine. In fact, I give Bill O'Brien credit because not only did he have the air yard attempts lower, but he set up the receivers in positions to gain a decent amount of yak against that Buffalo defense. Like, I watched the game twice in full. And the first time I was like, and then I looked at the numbers and I was like, oh, there must, like, I'm like, man, is there a bust in the advanced stats? Like, it didn't feel like that kind of a game at all.
No, all of their scoring drives were like, oh, that was well sequenced.
Yes.
And like, I had it phrased differently. It was like he put receivers in positions to succeed.
Yes.
Even if it wasn't like a big yak, that just like, hey, there's no hospital balls and there's no like, oh, that was just a waste of a play. Like whenever when you see that play, it's like that was a waste of a fucking play.
Yes.
When you don't have those, and this goes for everybody. Stop doing that, and you'll be a lot better off. Good teams don't do that.
Yeah. So to me, 9.5 seems high. I would have liked the 10. I was late. I didn't get it. And so small stake for me here at 9.5. Not really a ton of interest in getting involved in the money line. Dolphins offense will bounce. The Patriots defense still has huge questions. I don't give them a ton of credit for stopping the Bills last week. That the Bills realistically should have scored into the 30s, and the Dolphins are probably going to score into the 30s if we're being honest. So realistically, I'm taking the points with the Patriots, knowing that I need like 21 out of them. So this was probably maybe just should have played the over, I guess. It's worth noting though that Tyreek Hill did miss practice. Waddle and Hill both kind of.
That's the thing. Like if Jalen comes back.
Yeah.
If Jalen comes back, that is not enough to make up for Tyreek Hill missing the game.
Sure. Surely.
Like, that's
for sure.
Obviously huge, even though he is not a top 15 receiver in the NFL anymore.
Well, this brings up another very valuable question, Andy. The big problem, and one of the reasons it was smart for Bill O'Brien to tack into the short ADOT, the Patriots don't have any speed. So I mean, even though Kendrick Bourne is pretty darn valuable, I mean, he's clearly a top 15 wide receiver. Should the Patriots make an offer? Kendrick Bourne for Tyreek Hill? I mean, they could use speed.
Speed is
a downgrade.
Bad.
It's a downgrade.
That whole thing broke. reading that ESPN thing broke my head. Like, and then them just doubling down. Like, well, he's too fast, so he's he gets downgraded for that play because he's so much faster than the receiver. So the separation is like, whoa, in what fucking world does that make sense when you say that out loud, Seth? It was like, or who was it?
It's almost like a question they attempted to answer was like, hey, who are some wide receivers who don't flash, but who are more valuable than you think? Right. Yeah. As opposed to like, who are the best by some, kind of mega, like, all in one stat, because they did not come up with that. There is no defense for how those top 20 are ranked.
He's probably going to win Offensive Player of the Year, and
Tyreek Hill's
for years been
he's singularly worth 4 or 5 points, I think. And
it's so hard.
Honestly,
it's so hard to game plan for.
I remember downgrading team offensive expectation by as many as 3 points when he has just been dealing with hamstring stuff, because his game-breaking speed is that valuable, in my opinion. So
yeah, I didn't know what to make of the Tua comments. I'm gonna dig into that tonight.
I missed this. I missed this altogether. So it's good.
It's just like he's like, oh,
What
we'll
did he
get him
say?
back. He's like, we'll get him back down the line. I don't know I think that just. If there's two ways to read it, it was like he's going to practice later this week or he's out for like multiple weeks. And those are two very different things. So I'm sure the internet's looser on it. I'm digging into that.
This feels like fake drama. This feels like fake drama for the in-season Hard Knocks.
Yeah, we got the Hard Knocks.
I think this is bullshit. I think he's going to play and he's going to be fine. If Tyreek Hill doesn't play, then you are stealing points with 9.5, in my opinion.
Yeah, then it's way too many. I'm close. I didn't bet this game. Total. Who's got the total?
46 now. Come down a point.
Oh, really? I suppose the Tyreek stuff. If he's healthy, I'm a lot closer to 50, but it's one of those because it's a super high variance game with how much Miami decides to do in the second half. It is going to be hot, not crazy hot, but it's going to be mid 80s. So, Patriots second half sitting in the sun. There's actually a decent chance this might be a rain game as well, though. So I'm staying away. I bless your 9.5. I don't wish ill on Tyreek Hill, but if he does miss, kudos to getting a good number then.
Yeah. So you are correct that the average total on the season is 43.4 points scored, and the average closing total has been 44 on the nose. Okay. So
I think 2 weeks ago it was 44-1. It just
that said unders in the blind are hitting at 61%.
Still, I bet two overs and one under. So God help me. I got one home last week. Okay, New Jersey, the battle for New Jersey.
Real quick. So Mickey Hill mentions high winds in Miami. Miami is one of those places where I see high wind and I just ignore it. The way that stadium's
oriented,
the way it's oriented, the way it's shaped, it really
stadium. Joe Robbie.
Yeah, Joe Robbie. The way the Hard Rock, is it still the Hard Rock? Probably is, right? Yeah, that's the way that stadium is oriented is
it has the
it does good protection, and also it's set pretty far back from the ocean and wherever most of the forecast comes from. I feel like you're mostly getting like closer to the shore.
The wind meter is on that little thing, Sizzle's avatar.
It's on at the end of Key West.
the Key West thing. Yeah.
Okay.
That's something you don't realize until you go to Miami. You're like, oh, should we go to Key West? It's like, yeah, it's like 9 hours from here, man.
it's a haul.
It's like forever.
It's a haul.
Oh, that's not happening. It's
Buffalo you need a go fast boat to get to Key West.
Yeah, I needed like an airboat or something.
Let's go to Key West and get some mojitos in the go fast boat.
Key West is pretty prime though. We stopped there a different time, but it was by boat. It was a cruise ship stop. Loved it. New Jersey and New York and the Giants were technically the home team, I guess. The Jets are off the bye. Obviously not a true road game. Still never got an answer if they both have their own locker rooms. Somebody got to help me with that. Fill me in. Like, did the Jets and Giants each have their own locker rooms in the stadium? So like when they play,
did you get to the bottom of this?
It's worth a half a point, I think. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Don't do that. I really didn't want to get involved in this game.
I didn't get involved in this one.
It's probably going to be Tyrod. It sounds like Daniel Jones is still not cleared for contact. That was a full-on thing a couple of years ago. He might miss, another game after this if it comes to it. The Jets have been playing really well, especially defensively. The offense has kind of kicked it up a little, though, with we're seeing a side of Zach we haven't seen for the most part. Obviously, they have really good skill position. It's like the opposite of, oh, man, this quarterback just isn't getting any help. It's like, man, you got Wilson and Brees, and you got a good tight end now. It's like, no wonder you're playing at least a fucking average level sometimes. So I'm kind of nuts on the number here. I'm nuts on the total as well. The Giants front four has played a lot better. That was a horrific watch, though. The Giants Commanders game, neither team deserved to win that, which is funny because when I did my first run through where I tried to mash my total model with my sides it gave me a tie in that one.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
like that. I'm like, that'd be funny if I should just post it as a tie. Like I think it was like 18-18 or 20-20. I'm like, I should do that. And later in the game, I'm like, fuck, this is gonna be a tie.
This
And
could end in a tie.
I'm gonna regret that for the rest of my life.
You could have had it. You could have had tie. All right. I don't have any read on what the Giants are right now, what's going on with their offensive line situation, whether it matters if whether the offensive line matters with Tyrod Taylor, because for whatever reason, Tyrod is able to avoid the pressure and take shots downfield when Daniel Jones was a walking sack or a walking turnover or walking incompletion. So I don't understand why the Giants look so much more functional with Tyrod, but it's been obvious. And I think the Jets are probably still a very bad offense. I think Zach Wilson's still probably a very bad quarterback, but the defense is incredible. So the total at 36.5 is probably too high. But that's because I could see one or both of these teams getting shut out. 0-0 tie. That's not a scoregami. I know that.
That should be a prop. Oh no, there was hundreds of those early on. It feels like
hundreds of those.
Hundreds of those.
Yes.
It's like every week there was 3 of them.
Yes, that was the modal outcome for every model in the 1940s. Yes.
Oh my god, I did see.
0-0.
So
I'm projecting a 0-0.
Guy I work with, Matt. He can attest to this. This is what takes me so long at work. I have such bad ADD. And I started to look at the possible matchups for my high school football team that my kids go in the first round. So I had to go find the section tournament for a different section. Who could win that one? And I'm looking at scores, and there was a 6-2 in one of these high school games. Like it can't feel good to win a game 6-2. The other team in they go play the 1 seed now, but I did promise we'd go to the US. I might make it to US Bank Stadium one time this year. It'll not be for a Vikings game. I said if the old team squad makes it to the finals, we'll go. And fuck, they're kind of good. So yeah, the 6-2, it made me think of that, like all the Bears. You see the Bears record from like 1941. It's like 6-2, 2-2, 0-0, 3-3. It's like, there's been 73 games, Dan says. Look at Dan's better than ESPN.
None since 1943. Wow. So World War II snapped us out of the 0-0 spell.
Yeah. Look at us. Not only did we defeat the Axis powers, but we haven't had a 0-0 tie since. Good job, America. I make this total 36.
Okay.
Like I told you that last week or on Sunday. I'm like, I was excited. I thought, oh, this is maybe an under. And then I look at the totals, like, oh fuck, they're right close to it. There is a decent chance of a possible shutout here. So
all right. Long-term prediction for the Jets and the Giants at quarterback this year, since I don't care about this game whatsoever.
Jones will be back.
And he's gonna get his starting job back.
Yes, for sure. They paid him. They feel like they have to. And then Rodgers starts 2 games late with the team not eliminated from the playoffs. Bungles them both, and they are eliminated. Thanks to Rodgers. It would be very funny.
My least favorite subplot of the entire season is whenever he makes his rando appearance on Pat McAfee and it gets pushed all over the internet. Like he had something important to say that day. Like enough. No one wants to hear from you. Go away.
Yeah, it's stuff. It's stuff from like. It's like he's still talking about Fauci and stuff. It's like
stop.
It's like no one's talking about this anymore.
Yes, yeah. It is.
Go to 4chan.
Yeah, you want to debate Travis Kelce about something? Who fucking cares? Shut up. Go away. Yeah.
Go on Reddit if you want to do this sort of stuff, though. Yeah. It is wild. He's making a lot of money, though. So fucking I can't blame him there. All right, quick commercial break. And speaking of AI, and I bitched about the NFL using it, but here I go. I got so sick of the Ticketmaster ad read.
Oh yeah.
I threw it into GPT and I said, give me a bunch of different ones. Rephrase this for me. So new.
Hit me.
Experience the magic of live NFL action where unforgettable moments are born. And when you're in need of tickets, Ticketmaster is your trusted companion. As the official marketplace of the NFL, Ticketmaster offers an array of options to secure your ideal seats. Their interactive seat map provides you with a 360-degree sneak peek of your section, ensuring you catch all of the game-changing plays. What's more, Ticketmaster grants you the added flexibility to sell or transfer your tickets when your plans shift. With the convenience of mobile tickets, game day entry becomes a breeze. Discover your tickets today. I don't know if I love that last line. Discover your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/NFL. And of course, also brought to you by Rhythm today. For those of you who want to make some more educated bets, Rhythm is a solution backed by the original DraftKings investors. They have a team of PhDs, data scientists, and sports lovers here to empower you, input your game preferences, and let their advanced model take over. They bring over 3 years of historical data to the table, and you can even create your own custom models on there with Rhythm. You'll never have to worry about finding your next bet. Start simplifying your betting routine today. Obviously, you can find the link in the show description, and we're on to the second half. And I have so many more Ticketmaster reads. You can say make 40 of these. So I have like 40 versions of that now.
I can tell you two things real quick. One, I gotten a lot of questions about NBA models recently. I'm going to try to do some sort of way
Did you see Darko's not going to be updated right away?
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I think I sent you that.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. That getting the pipeline fixed is more important than having
infrastructure is important.
Infrastructure is important. But yeah, a lot of people like I'm interested in a model for NBA. What do I do?
Player props, buddy.
Well, yeah, not just player props, but like if you want bet sides, if you want some sides and totals action, the most important thing to do is to take the closing numbers this first week and deconvolve what the market ratings are as a overall rating for the NBA teams and as an offense and a defense. Okay. If you can just take the closing numbers and turn them into market power ratings,
yep.
And then update that for the first month, watch the trends, plot the trends, keep an eye on like who's getting adjusted, why, and then use those to project what does the market think this point spread should be. Compare that, track the differences. Why is this one? The market ratings that I got from the first couple of weeks said that this game should be 7. It's 5. Why am I getting 2 free points here on the favorite? Like those steps alone will put you on a very fundamentally sound path to starting to understand how sides and totals work in the NBA. And there's a very straightforward way to come up with the market power ratings for NBA that I want to do like some sort of tutorial thing. Just
do you remember?
You can do it in Excel. It's very
last Monday, Drew. Last Monday we spent some time on the NBA after the halftime.
Yeah,
maybe we can drop 20 minutes of NBA fun every Monday. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
If you want to hang out after halftime, we'll do some NBA stuff.
Yeah, good idea.
Onto this Atlanta, Tennessee.
Yeah. The one other thing I was going to say is rather than spend your money at Ticketmaster on Jets Giants, just go to a Knicks game. Knicks are fun this year. This Knicks Celtics game right now is electric. Go to the Garden. Forget about the Meadowlands. Go to the Garden. Yeah,
the Meadowlands in November. But
yeah,
let's do this.
All right.
Atlanta at Tennessee. Yeah, something that can be done in Excel when you add solver to it. Atlanta at Tennessee is a game that is happening. It's important for the Falcons, who are finding themselves at the top of the division. They have literally an entire slate left of pretty much coin flips every week for the rest of the year. And if they can flip the coin the right way, and they have some pieces at work, they can win this division. That said, their coach is becoming less likable by the moment. My God, is he an insufferable, smug prick all of a sudden? I loved Arthur Smith. I feel betrayed. He thinks he's Belichick now. It's annoying. That said, it's still a fun team. I wish we would really unlock this offense. I don't have a real, strong indicator that that's what's going to happen. This defense has some nice pieces, can play well at times. It's becoming better. This is a top half of the league defense for sure. This total is 35.5. We are going to likely get Levis starting, and then apparently Malik Willis sprinkled in, which I don't know what that looks like. But the Titans are probably sellers here soon. I don't know what to make of this. Like the Falcons, like we mentioned, it's not a team we want to back as a favorite. It's not a team we want to back away from home, but it would be, Falcons are nothing for me. Yeah, I guess Arthur Smith is sitting on that FedEx money, so it's not like he has anything to worry about.
Yeah. Okay. The Titans red alarm bells have to be going off as loud as they can be going off in your head, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a sell team here soon because they lost their quarterback. At this point, there's no reason to hurry him back. You spend the rest of the season seeing what you have in Levis and Willis.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to win games now.
Right. On top of the fact that it was pretty eye-opening that the day the team gets back from bye, the locker room leader on defense gets traded to a contender. Like that can't feel good. That can't feel good. Like I know Kevin Byard, maybe his best days are behind him. I don't care about that as much as he was a leader in that locker room. And you have guys who went and joined the team as free agents like Sean Murphy-Bunting, whose reactions were, what the hell? Right. And I think that's pretty telling about how the defense overall felt. Now he's unique because he decided to go there and thought he was going to be on a good defense with other good players. And he's like, we're tearing this down. Really? Like, I feel misled. That sucks. Yeah. But the truth is that yes, they're tearing it down. If you can get anything for some of these pieces, then you should try that. If that's what your plan is, if you're the Titans, they started doing this last year before the weird sort of give DeAndre Hopkins money and patch this hole and patch that hole. Maybe we can keep it all together for one more year. And no, it didn't work. And so it feels like this is, there's a very bad morale kind of vibes coming out of Tennessee on top of just not being very good. And then the Will Levis decision to start him this week. Fine. Like you've already made up your mind about what you have with Malik Willis. Fine. Will Levis, first of all, you're going into it with only 1 week of prep because they were not practicing last week. They were on bye, right? So you didn't even have like a week where Levis was getting lots of second team reps. I don't even know you haven't even seen evaluated him at all in the preseason.
No, he was hurt in the preseason.
He is as absolutely green as anyone. And so, you throw him into the crucible, but like you're not even going to really get to evaluate him this week or next week or the next week. Like, he's going to need a couple of games of actually playing before you even know what you have, in my opinion. And on top of that, do you believe what they're saying about like we may mix it up and do alternate some Levis and Willis? Is that total bullshit, or I
don't know what that even looks like. If they have some sub packages for Willis, this is my prediction, and this is probably the last thing I'll say in this game and you guys are right in the chat. I will tease this, but I do a lot of teasers, and this will probably only be in one. Like it's a very low total, which should help, but I don't want to get too.
I'm going to hope for your sake that it moves out of the teaser zone.
Yeah, I hope once we get to Sunday, this is like 3.5, and I don't have to worry about it. Because if it's 2.5, it'll end up in at least one teaser. You put it with your other leg you don't like, so it's like the redheaded stepchild you don't care about. But my prediction would be it's mostly Levis, and there's like one sub package for Malik Willis. You see him in like 3 or 4 snaps, and it might be two in a row, where he's in for like a goal line package with something fun. Maybe Levis is on the field with him and they do something just ridiculous, stupid like that as well. But other than that, I don't think it's going to be like some sort of split.
Okay. And
yes, I mean, as Patrick pointed out, and he did start a little, but like Levis got hurt. He hurt his thigh or something
early. Like, yeah.
Did not play much in the preseason. Mm-hmm. We have not seen any of him, which that's why I would fucking like Willis. Like, we know it. You saw some of him. Like, let's see a bunch of Will Levis. Put a game plan together strictly for him. See what you got.
Yeah,
you got to move on eventually here.
And that's again like franchise vision. Take no exceptions if that's your plan. But it makes I don't know how you're competitive in this game this week.
Hopefully within 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Willis has never looked good so far.
All right, so I have staked some Falcons here. I don't feel great about it.
I don't blame you
because the news today should have pushed this to 3. Like it really should have. This should be a wrap. This should be at 3 across 3. I'm surprised.
Somebody getting traded between now and the game that matters on this team is a very non-zero chance.
Somebody who matters on the Titans just getting like inactive because they don't want to hurt him. A couple players. Like, are we sure Hopkins is going to start this week?
What's your number here if it's Tannehill and Hopkins is going everything?
Pick him. Yeah,
I'm like Titans -1, 1.5.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because this is an important.
Yeah,
like the Falcons need that. The Falcons have been given a gift. They need to take advantage win this game.
Yeah, I think so too. And
this is not one of their scheduled wins for sure.
Their defense combined with the weaknesses with the offensive line for the Titans, combined with Will Levis making his first start after 1 week of practice with the ones. Because Malik Will was Will Levis even getting practice reps with the practice squad players? I assume he was. But I haven't seen or heard anything of Will Levis since he got hurt in the preseason. So this may be as green of a starting quarterback situation as we ever see. So, all right, maybe we're out to 3.
Good.
Yeah,
good job getting in 2.5.
Yeah,
I bet Minnesota today. I laid -1.
Nice.
I did some adjustments, and then the Packers injury reports and I know it's Wednesday and we can't trust anything, but this defense is underperformed. Honestly, I can't remember what team I compared them to. I compared them to the Steelers. The Steelers defense can keep them in a game, and then boom, shit, how are we losing to the Steelers? It's same thing with Denver. Their offense can keep the other team in the game.
Mm-hmm.
The Green Bay should have been getting shit kicked after that first half. They looked listless. They looked lifeless. Denver was moving up and down for the most part, and they were not getting it done. Denver's offense kept that game close. It was not what Green Bay was doing in the first half. That defense is not good. It hasn't been good. We're probably going to
Savage.
It's Savage to the IR. Several other defensive pieces are in question this week. This could move out to 2.5, 3, and I wouldn't be surprised. Minnesota's offense looked pretty good, obviously, against a team in a tough position. But if they can sort something out with Addison and Hawk, and make this work, they have a very good offensive line. There was a good tweet, just a simple one. It was like, hey, here's like 3 quarterbacks who have 2,000 yards and 15 touchdowns so far. And it was like, Mahomes and I can't remember it. Mahomes, Tua, and Kirk. Kirk is good. We live in a world where Kirk is very good.
Well, you know why? Because he's getting superlative protection.
It's such a good offensive line now.
So good.
The best tackle combo maybe in the league. And he's getting protection. He is finding guys open. Addison is legitimately a decent rookie. Hawkinson is a top end tight end. Like it's an offense that's going to move the ball. And again, the defense doesn't have the players. But what Flores did scheme wise last week has me hopeful that he is figuring. It's kind of like the teabag thing with Mac and him. Like it's the same thing on defense. Like, well, here's what we're going to do with what we have because this is all we can do. Yeah. And Packers obviously not healthy on offense either. So
can I ask
I'm not.
Can I ask you what's the counter argument for the Packers?
I mean, the Packers at home in a divisional game with some, Vikings off a short week because they played Monday Night Football in how does this work when you're doing narratives in a very physical game against a tough defense, short week to prep for 2 teams that know each other really well. You're really going to lay points on the road with the Vikings team. And it's it's more of a like the Vikings offense is good enough to put up plenty of points in this one.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm struggling to find a reason that the Packers should be inside 3 here. I haven't bet this game yet, but
Yeah,
Vikings,
Hawk was a little banged up. I guess
that's kind of what I'm waiting.
expecting him.
Yeah, I'd like to
to be
see the
limited.
Vikings.
If
I'd
he's
like to
out,
see
I'm
the Vikings
pissed.
injury report before firing on this, but I think Vikings are definitely the side. Did you have a take on the Jordan Love experience watching the Broncos game again? Because he graded better than he has. Like he's had some true blue stinkers this year. And he wasn't as bad against Denver, but it was still
a lot of it came
enough.
in that second half too. And I mean, if you want to give him credit for that touchdown, that was probably a bad throw that bounced into a different.
Well, that's the great point. Yes, the deflection into the other was deflected to Reed. Yeah, that was a fluky play. A lot of his EPA did come from that play.
Yeah,
he's gotten a lot of EPA
it's hard to
from
give him
fluky stuff this year.
It's hard to give him a good grade on accuracy, on decision making. Like, I know Minnesota's pass rush is nothing to write home about, so he might have a decent day. But I make the Vikes like 2.5 here, so I took the 1.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm probably coming with you on that. I just got to see the injury report.
If Hawkinson's out, I'm obviously very annoyed and sitting on a shit price, but such is life. Cleveland, Seattle, Seahawks out to 3.5. This was one that got bet. And
hope you got your 2.5 on Sundays, boys.
Yeah. you mentioned it right away on the Sunday pod there. Those 2.5s are going to be gone. Watson might be long-term out. I mean, they're talking about this injury and comparing it to like a pitcher who misses weeks and weeks. And if you saw before he exited the game so unceremoniously, I mean, there's again, the film guys have poured over this and put it all over Twitter. Like, but we all watched it. There was no zip. His arm is not right. He should take what a weird saga, obviously, with all the legal issues and then paying him so much. And now this is what you're getting. And this is at this point, I feel bad for Deshaun Watson. And that feels gross to say.
I mean,
like,
it's a
bad injury now.
Andy, it's a bad injury. Like, are we ever going to see him play again? I think
he needs to take.
I don't know.
You just have to
take
kill
the
year
season off. Yeah, maybe they take next season off. I mean,
man, they're saddled with a bad contract.
You know what would be pretty hilarious if there was some sort of I don't know, a little cabal of owners was paying Watson under the table even more to do this, so that no owner will ever give a guaranteed contract again for anything, right? Like, this has gone so impossibly poorly that you have to assume
every turn,
no quarterback will ever get a guaranteed contract again. You would have to assume, right?
It's been a whole thing. I don't really want a big part of this game. We saw the Seahawks kind of fiddle fuck around in the second half versus Arizona.
They were a mess.
A little bit of an unserious team with the lead.
Yeah.
I guess, versus Walker, it should probably keep going. I mean, it should probably keep getting bet but low total, sitting past the 3 now. I'm passing on this one.
Okay.
I will watch.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the right call. You do have a Seahawks offensive line that is ailing, and got a bunch of guys have been hurt and coming back, and discontinuity against a very good D-line. I don't have answers for why the Browns defense was so porous and poor at tackling and gave up 1 million yards of yak to the Colts. But the Seahawks obviously have good enough wide receivers that they could do that too, I guess. If
I were to play this, it would be the same as the Philly game. It'd be Seahawks first half.
How about
that? Might make the bingo card.
What do you think about the fact that the Browns have no healthy running backs, are a running team, and are up against a team with a very good running defense? Do you think the Browns can score more than 3 points here? Like, is Browns team total under the low-hanging fruit?
Yeah, what would be your game plan? It's like, we don't have any running backs left. We couldn't run all that well on this team anyway. The secondary's starting to get their shit together a little. They got a hard-hitting rookie. We have a backup quarterback and no real. They're going to need to.
They're going to need
turnovers.
19.5. They're getting to 20.
Put it in the pocket. That's
They're getting to 20.
Yeah.
Is there any weather in Seattle this week?
That's not really one that's too affected either. Lumen's pretty covered. Isn't it?
Okay.
I feel like that one has the.
Well, but it could be rain.
Shell.
PJ Walker in the rain doesn't inspire confidence. The PJ Walker must pass is really kind of where I'm at here. Like, he's going to have to throw 40 passes in this game, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not excited for that. If you have an under, you're not excited watching him drop back in the rain over and over.
You are if it's a Cleveland team total under, you feel pretty good.
That's fair. Kansas City, Denver. I don't know. Again, talk me out of just taking. Why is this number where it's at? I don't know what you make this, but this is not quite where I'm at. This is a little short of where I'm at. I'm a lot closer to a 10. Okay. And I think a lot of it is where I have this Denver team in a lot of my metrics. I think I have them lower in the market than some teams, but I also have the Chiefs number 1. This is a road game in division, and it's it's still no love lost throughout the records. Beat them up, big brother, little brother kind of game though. And it's still laying the hook across to 7 here with a road game, but I make it like 10.
Okay.
And I don't know what the case is for Denver doing well against this defense.
It is the Chiefs defense is showing some signs of regression in the run defense, and they have lost Nick Bolton.
Yeah, the Bolton wrist injury stinks. He's out for months.
That's the whole angle. Literally, the Broncos can lean on a run, shorten the game, and keep this somewhat competitive. That's the only angle. Because if the Broncos are forced to pass their way to victory here, forget about it. They're in deep trouble. The coverage is too good.
We are looking at snow in the forecast Sunday. Thank you, Sam, in the chat. Different Sam. Multiple Sams.
So I guess my thought process here is the Broncos can gain a tactical advantage on the ground. I also think the Chiefs
have 2 good
running attack is starting to get a little moldering here. They're starting to stink a little bit. And the Broncos are getting healthier on defense. Every week, another guy comes off the report. It looks like Simmons is still LP, but he's going to play, I would assume. They won't have Kareem Jackson, who is so inclined to hit players in the head that he will be sitting out the next 2 games.
I know people are mad about this. This is like the 4th time he did it. He's going to get suspended.
He just wants to hurt. He just wants to hurt someone. But ultimately, there's enough. There's enough of a signal still here that the Broncos are rated too low defensively in the games that Simmons was unavailable, I think.
Yeah.
And I think so. I just think this is going to be somewhat competitive and like in the same sense.
Yeah, I have no taste for
Andy putting away the good plays.
Yeah, I have no taste to lay it on the road with this Chief. It's not a team I love laying the big numbers with.
Yeah.
Last week it was the Widowmakers, so we had to. But my prediction for this one, if we do get the predicted snow, Taylor Swift wears an adorable parka. And we're all talking about it on Monday. So I think this probably lands around a touchdown off a lot.
All right. I bet the Broncos at 8. I think 7.5 and 8 are interchangeable really here. I don't think the 2-point conversion is going to come into play. And I think realistically, I just think the Chiefs probably win this game by a field goal. I think Andy puts away the good plays. I think they're running. I think it has to be on Pat, and I think it probably comes down to coming back at the end of the game. Pat scrambling, Pat to Kelsey, Pat scrambling, Pat to Kelsey. Chiefs score a touchdown or kick a game-winning field goal, and they get out of here with the win. They got the Dolphins on deck next week in Germany. Yeah,
obviously wonging this.
Yes, that's fine.
Probably one of the better angles. Like not only just like Chiefs win the game because they're so much better, but like Chiefs. Oh, the Chiefs are behind by 3 late. Like, oh, okay. Well, the teaser covers then. We're fine.
Yeah. It would also be, at the same time, it would be very 2023 NFL for the Broncos to win this game somehow, and because the Chiefs are now kind of the what was the collective reaction to what we saw in week 7? Was it not? Oh, the Chiefs are the best team in football again. I guess, or the only good team. How many people kind of came to that sort of tongue-in-cheek kind of conclusion? Oh, the Chiefs are the only good team in football again. A lot of people kind of got there. I'm not saying that means anything. I'm just saying that, these two teams prepared for each other 2 weeks ago. It was a closer game than the final score suggested. And I think Broncos can keep this thing inside of a touchdown, even though I absolutely hate this team. I hate the Broncos. I hate Sean Payton. I hate Russell Wilson. Nothing endearing about these guys at all. And realistically, this is look at the schedule real quick. Probably my last Broncos bet of the year. I'm kind of done with them. At some point, the buy low on the defense is going to run out and they're going to be rated correctly. Let me look at the Impredict market rating real quick. You want to guess what the Impredict market has the defense currently for the Broncos? Just out of curiosity, what's your guess?
Like a number or a rank?
A rank in the NFL out of 32.
19.
29.
Really? That low?
Yes. You want to guess what DVOA?
To it.
You want to guess what DVOA has? It's a market number, man. I mean, it's literally just what is the market? Because look at this week's game. Like, last week, this week, they're expecting to them to give up points, and it's not quite right. DVOA has the Denver defense. You want to guess?
Like 27.
30,
I mean, if it's
32 out of 32. Wow. So again, like to the degree that any of the predictives, any of the descriptive stats out there are used in a predictive sense, and the market is buying into that as well. Like the Broncos D. I
have Denver as a decent defense in a lot of different spots.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a good third down.
They're a bad run defense.
Matters here,
but
yeah,
for whatever it's worth, Chiefs haven't been able to take advantage of that.
Maybe they roll CEH out there and we all have a good laugh.
Well, that's the weird thing is that, like, you know what was a bad sign? Kansas City couldn't even crack 100 against Denver in the Thursday night football game at home. Like, that was a bad sign for Kansas City's rushing attack, I think.
It's a weird scheme every time. It feels like it's whatever the whims, like you say, with the good plays, bad plays, like it never more evident than in, oh, this is the running plan. Like, why is CH in again? Why are we running these weird jet sweeps that aren't very, ingenuitive? Like they're just like the same jet sweeps everyone runs. Like, those aren't good plays.
No.
Yeah. I'm there.
All right. Worst bet I made this week. San Francisco 49ers, who may be trotting out Mr. Samuel Darnold.
Yeah, that's just bad luck. Nobody really heard about the concussion stuff till this morning. This is a Super Bowl 23 rematch.
Well done, by the way, to the anti-gambling initiatives in the NFL that didn't leak.
Keeping it under wraps.
I mean, seriously, when I say nobody had this, I promise you, like, there was not even a breath of this.
Not in anywhere.
Yeah.
Out of the blue. And Super Bowl 16. They played in 81 as well.
Boomer Esiason versus Joe Montana. No.
Bill that not the second one. That would have been, or not the first one.
Who was in the first one? Ken Anderson? No. Who's
I think you're actually right.
Oh, okay. Anyway, go ahead. Carry on.
Diana, I'm looking it up. Diana Ross did the national anthem.
Oh. Interesting.
Radio was Jack Buck and Hank Stram.
It was Ken Anderson versus Joe Montana.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I have no. I don't want to handicap this game with Sam Darnold in it. I don't know exactly what he's worth. It's somewhere between 2 and 5 points. 5 if he is just an absolute disaster and is not getting it because he hasn't got the reps. At least it's early in the week and we get a chance to get him worked in, I guess. But no thanks. Like, no thanks to this game whatsoever with Darnold in. This number's probably right. I think it's been about a 3-point move down. The Bengals have been a tough one to get a grip on because of the magnitude of what it means when Joe Burrow is healthy or not healthy or trying to play through this. There's just way too much variance in a game that there's no buys, guys. There's 14 other games, 15 other games. Like, no thanks. Like, it sucks you got bit on a on a bad, just bad luck information shit, and hopefully. So Purdy is further along in the concussion protocol, and there was one other player this year who did play the same week he was.
From the Niners.
Yeah, he was on the Niners. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they're better if they have Russell Wilson's concussion water. If he plays, I'm just saying I'm not ruling him completely out.
I'll tell you, if they pull that off from an injury that was diagnosed at midnight on Monday
on the airplane,
that feels a little bit outside of how the system is designed to work.
There'll be an investigation.
Yeah, it feels a little outside of the
fact that it was a Monday game that is kind of a fly in my little theory here.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, generally, I think I probably will lose money on this game. I've come to peace with that, but we will learn something important about this Bengals. Regardless, we will learn. Late
steam in the UTEP Sam Houston over.
Oh,
and those kind of folks only need 4 points in the second half.
Oh, I thought you were reacting to the Celtics Knicks, which is now tied at 101 with a minute to play in the Garden.
Celtics just aren't good. They're just not good this year.
Kristaps Porzingis is an emotional game for Kristaps.
He came out hot.
He came out hot. He's got.
I'm watching. Wolves are losing.
5 3-pointers already tonight.
I'm excited to see Wemby make his debut here in about.
Oh hell yeah!
That game should be tipping off anytime soon. Baltimore, Arizona. Again, this is another one where hey. I have a question for you. This is more of a market rating question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel like you're hesitant to upgrade or downgrade a team a little, even if the stats kind of indicate it, and you push back a little and say, it's not what I'm seeing, or those stats are a little fugazi because of who they played. That injury maybe doesn't matter as much because of who they played. And then the next week, you're absolutely not vindicated, the opposite of vindicated,
yes.
Where it's like, oh, I should have made that adjustment. Then you end up having to make a
overstepping.
Bigger,
yes.
I called it a 2-week aggregate adjustment. It's kind of what I did. So I did that to the Ravens on both sides of the ball, and I have a hilariously high number in this game now because the Cardinals are not only like doing a good job of being, hey, we're a little squirrely, but they're scoring 4.3 points in the second half on average, guys. That's
not good.
It's almost hard to do. I think they had 3 drives end on downs in the last game versus Seattle, which was a blessing because I had that teaser and it was a little sweatier than I liked. But Ravens are obviously a dream teaser leg, even on the road here. If you do believe this is a massive upgrade, I could wax poetic all day about what we saw last week and how good the play calling, the play sequencing, the play execution, Lamar, his reads, his slipperiness, what he did, even with them putting a spy on him for big parts of, the downs where you would kind of do that sort of thing. He was just so good.
Yeah.
I made a little bit of a case to you for he's the only person that, wasn't resuscitated on the field last year that has a chance at comeback player of the year. I think, like you'd said, you talked to some people and some voters are like, hey, this is a dumb award. I'm happy to have an easy out here where we can just vote for tomorrow. But even without missing time, I feel like in my brain, there's this weird Lamar comeback vibe narrative story because he had that MVP season and then it just wasn't as good. It was hard to stay up at the top for him, and he did miss games. And so I love him. I know the number's not as good as it once was, but I'm thinking about him a little bit for comeback player of the year. If the offense looks like it did last week, this is quietly maybe the best defense in the league now.
Yeah.
It's kind of great up and down as a horrible defense to face.
Yeah. I agree with you on this game. I think the Ravens are the bet. The market moved on the news that Kyler Murray was a full participant in practice.
I know you can get an 8 right now. I don't know what's stopping me.
You know what his full participation in practice was today? A couple of reps with the practice squad guys. In a new offense, if you're not taking the ones at this point, you're not getting activated this week, I don't think. And if you're the Cardinals and you throw Kyler Murray back into the fire against the Ravens, and then look next week, the Browns, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. We will see Kyler Murray this year. He is coming back soon.
Yeah.
He will be activated before November 9th. It is very unlikely, in my opinion, that it will be this week or next week.
I really think it's the Falcons game.
The Falcons game.
I'm excited to see him.
Yeah.
I'm to see what he has.
Okay. So then
if you have a Cardinals win total bet, it's one of those where, hey, they have like one win, but fuck, now I'm going to sweat this for the rest of the year.
A problem though, since they lost James Conner, and for whatever reason
Ertz
they wanted their for whatever reason they want Ertz is on the IR. Yeah, for whatever reason they wanted Conner to be their identity. Their running game now is hellaciously poor. And so it's all on Dobbs to make magic happen against this secondary. I don't see it happening. So the Cardinals are drawing dead here, in my opinion, pretty much any way you want to try to slice it. So then the question is, if the Ravens, let's just do a thought experiment. The Ravens, who are 5-2, is that right? 5-2. If they have a second consecutive blowout this week, okay. They go home next week. They play the Seattle Seahawks. Then they get the Cleveland Browns. You could get Dobbs, Geno Smith, and PJ Walker potentially your next 3 weeks, and you're the number one defense in the NFL. I think there is a very realistic
sell point in this
I think there's a very realistic chance that there's going to be a 4-week stretch in the middle of the Ravens schedule where they're going to have just blowouts, just ass kicking.
Molly whoppings.
Yes. And if you can't visualize what that looks like, go back and look at the 2019 Ravens games. Like, this is a team that when it's clicking,
week 1 versus Miami.
The week 1, you remember the Rams game? The Rams game was like a snuff film. That was it was awful. It was awful.
What is the name of that?
It was
8 millimeter.
It was like 8 millimeter. Yeah, 8 millimeter. Yeah.
Oh, that was kind of good. Dark. It was very dark. It
was Rams. Go watch some Rams Baltimore Ravens tape, man, from Sunday Night Football.
I can't believe you said snuff film.
It was.
I know there were some beat downs. Like that's what we said. We often use that year as like a reference point when we're talking about MVP voting.
Yes.
So stats are great, wins are great.
Yes.
Being a top seed is great. But man, if you can be that video shared on every day on Twitter that week, every week there's like, oh my God, SportsCenter has shared look at this amazing run where he was almost down and then he went for 60 yards, like every week. And that's kind of what you're going to get. Lamar's going to get steam in MVP market as well, for sure.
Massive. He already has. I guess my general thinking here is that by the time we get to Veterans Day, November, 12th, 11th, 13th, I can't remember what Veterans Day is. But by the time these next 3 games are over for the Ravens, I strongly suspect that Lamar will be the MVP favorite, that the Ravens will be AFC favorites, that they'll be the 1 seed favorite, and that their power rating is going to be top in the NFL.
That's sassy.
And some of the reason is because the Chiefs go and play a 9 in the morning game next week in Germany against the Dolphins. They might lose. They might lose that game. Like, that's not a guaranteed win by any stretch of the imagination. And then they go on by. And so people are going to casually forget about Mahomes, casually forget about the Chiefs, and they're going to be seeing the Ravens week in, week out, just smothering these teams. And they're going to absolutely shoot to the top of the pile. So if you have any inclination to have anything exposure to the Ravens at any point to do anything this year, I think you need to bet it now. I don't think it's a bet to win the AFC or the Super Bowl, just for clarity. Like, I'm still in prove it to me in the playoffs with my relationship with Lamar Jackson.
New coordinators. It's different. It's different this time. It's going to be fine. I'm betting. I bet this 8. I'm going to tease it as well. Yeah. I'm likely going to add some first half on game day.
Yeah. Final thought. Your point about adjusting the Ravens and people, I'm sure, are thinking this like, wow, way to overreact to 1 game against the Lions. Is not even the result of the game that I think is important. I think you can singularly isolate a handful of plays from that game where the offensive line and the defensive line for the Ravens were physically overpowering the Lions,
beating the shit out of a good offensive line.
beating the shit out of good, and like literally okay. When 2019 Lamar Jackson won MVP, he was behind an all-time offensive line. Ronnie Stanley was an All-Pro. Marshall Yanda was a future Hall of Famer. Every other guy on that line was a plus player. Like, they were amazing, right? Since Yanda retired and Stanley's been hurt regularly, it just hasn't been the same level of pass protection whatsoever. And they went up against a defensive line in the Lions who, for what it's worth, is not like all universe, but they can definitely create pressure. And Lamar Jackson had 10 seconds to throw on 3rd and 3 on their second touchdown and casually tosses to Nelson Aguilar, who's wide open in the end zone. 10 seconds is an absurd amount of time to let a play break down before you make a play, make a throw. And if that unit is going to block that well in the run game, block that well in the pass game, the Ravens' offense is going to be outstanding, I think. Again, especially against these lower tier teams. Now they're going to go up against the Browns, and maybe the Browns defense might have something to say that's different. I mean, that will be a very, very, very bellwether test for the Ravens offense, in my opinion. But this week against the Cardinals, I think they can pick their score. And I think they have a couple of games here coming up where they're going to win by margin because their defense is going to keep their opponents under 10, and they are going to score 20, 30, 40, whatever they feel like. And I'm just telling you, this is coming because of the schedule. I didn't really see this even as a rational likelihood for the Ravens this season because I just didn't believe that they were as good as they were. I didn't believe the players were as good as they were. But the fact of the matter is they've gotten through the toughest part of their schedule from a travel standpoint. They've gotten through cluster injuries to the offensive line and the defensive backfield. And now they are entering the meat of the season healthy. And as long as Lamar Jackson is out there at full strength, this team is going to just truck stick some of these teams. Like, there are no good teams in the NFL, really. And the Ravens, I think, are going to make their mark in this next couple weeks. I think that's a very sound prediction. We will revisit this on the November 12th Sunday night podcast, which is Veterans Day, right?
11th is Veterans Day.
11th is, sorry. The day after Veterans Day. We will revisit this take.
Veterans Day weekend.
Yep.
All right. Sunday night did not get flexed.
Although if it had, it would have been for Sam Darnold. So good thing it didn't get flexed.
That'd have been really funny if they flexed it and then it turned out to be Sam Darnold. This is another over I played.
Ooh.
I've come to like the Chargers offense, especially in the red zone, a little more as years gone by. I think this is a gettable defense. I know the home field is almost non-existent, and I'm putting my chips on the table again for Teabag, but nobody has allowed more red zone trips on average besides the Cardinals because they're just really horrific and maybe not fair to them because they've also played some really good teams. The Cardinals, maybe there's something to be said there where they've had a tough schedule too. But this is not a defense I'm trusting lately. And at the same time, I saw Justin Herbert make some pretty nice throws. He made some big time plays against a way better defense. He deserved probably better in that game. I didn't think, obviously I had -5. I wanted no fucking part of him having better, just some bad interceptions kept him from laying 30 on that team. Like that was a pretty decent game if you wash out I know you can't, hey, this guy only had 20 yards rushing if you take away his 80-yard run. Like we can't do that sort of bullshit. Like the turnovers are a big problem, but it's a tough defense. It's a tough place to play. This is home. I don't know, 46.5, maybe a little higher than I would have liked. Another one that I should have grabbed when it was 45 right away in the market, but I still make this 48. If they have to cross the street 100 times, I don't care because the Bears were efficient with it.
Okay.
Like when you cross the street and it takes you 4 minutes to get to midfield and then you punt, it's one thing, but this team seems to have a little bit figured out offensively. They both have big playmaking weapons. I hate that I'm making a case for a primetime over, but that's where I'm on. If you want something more fun to bet, we do have I don't know if you can see it. I'm wearing a Profit Exchange sweatshirt.
Oh yeah, what do you got for them?
Logo's very small. It is just that is it. You have the two big playmaking wide receivers here. I'm just DJ Moore yards versus Keenan.
Ooh, that's fun.
Or did I go yards or did I go receptions? I'm gonna have to double check. Go to Profit Exchange, you can check it. I did go receptions. They're both gonna be targeted a ton.
Yeah,
it's the same as what did we see in the last game? We had Adams and Moore targeted a ton. It's the same kind of thing. Go make yourself an SGP of those two, like getting 8 catches each. Kind of feels like that's where we're at with these secondaries. Bears offensive line is sneaky getting better. They might get Braxton back here soon. I think they can protect Badgett. I think you can kind of rely on this pass rush to underwhelm again for the Bolts, as it sometimes has. Basically, one crazy game from Mac, and then I haven't had a lot of nice things to say about this defense for the most part this year. So I'm on the over. Not one of my. I think my favorite play is still just Baltimore, man. I might take an alt total there or an alt spread there. Just like, I hate to get too influenced by recent results, but I mean, would it surprise you if Baltimore won by like 24?
No, not at all. And like,
that's where we're at with this game. We're talking about the Baltimore game again.
Yeah, I have no idea what the Bears are. I have no idea how to rate Teabag. He set the all-time low in ADOT for a quarterback with 20 pass attempts. It was 2.0 air yards per attempt. 2.0. It's like you know how hard it is to get back down to 2 if you throw a 10-yard pass in the air.
Yeah, you have to have just negative throws. Like
you have to have a lot. You have to have a lot that go 1 in order to get your average back down to 2. And I that might work against the Chargers. It's very tough to say. I don't know. I'm just surprised at
how many bets I have this week. When
I
looked at this card,
a lot of games.
I'm like, I'm not betting this game much.
Yeah, I'm not betting this game.
I have the over, but I won't take a side. It's hard to lay the Chargers with that many points, even against a team we don't consider all that good with a backup quarterback. Yeah. Massive injuries at running back, but getting healthier in a few spots, especially like we said, the offensive line playing better. Bears, the Bears are not horrible to watch all of a sudden.
I could not.
Maybe they get.
I could not in good conscience lay 8.5 points with Brandon Staley in this defense.
You brought the Chargers teaser again. Like anything that's a Wong teaser, I don't care if I bet the other side. I'm putting them in at least one Wong teaser for prosperity's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ones that I like Seattle. You get Seattle last week. I had that in multiple teasers. That was my favorite one by far. It's going to go in a few. This one is probably on the lower end. And you brought up a good point about SoFi. Like it is a road game. We have to travel here for Badgett, but of all the places to go on the West Coast, if you had to go to Seattle or San Francisco, like SoFi is not scary.
No. Primetime game on the road. This is probably your number one pick, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea how this plays out, but
this is probably middle of the pack. I'll have to look. I'll do my Friday teaser rankings.
Yeah, FIU
gonna KC are high.
Jacksonville State gonna score a touchdown here, or this is gonna be the all-time tease? I mean, this is rough. All right, let's wrap it up. Good job. We'll be back for Thursday Night Football. We will try to snap our very cold streak on Thursday on primetime halftime plays. I will own most of that streak because a lot of it has been I've had positions on the game. I've been shooting for the middle, and I will promise you that if it is
going in with a clear mind,
I have the over. If there are 35 points that have already been scored, I will commit to you right now. I will not make a case to shoot for the middle and the under.
I think we had the right one with the Niners, man.
Oh, definitely we did.
Good job just again, hat tip to Flores for putting together that scheme.
Yeah. I mean, until the final interception, did you think the Niners were going to lose that game? I was
really
pretty
felt
sure they were going to win. I thought they were going to win for sure. Yes, touchdown. Thank God. Finally.
Touchdown Cox. Are they the Cox too?
Yeah, Gamecocks. Yeah.
Gamecocks, Jacksonville State.
Yep. All right. A lot of teabag and Gamecock talk tonight, but that's fine. All right, guys. Best of luck. Oh, secret pod play. Browns of team total under 19.5.
Let's do the Browns team total
Right.
under.
I think that one's the strongest.
We'll go NBA zigzag theory from a team that just scored like 40 points. Fun fact about Jacksonville State, Drew. It's in Alabama.
Yes, I knew this. And also, they're ineligible for a bowl, even though this is going to be their 7th win of the year.
So
which
good.
is
Yeah, they
absolutely criminal nonsense. Criminal nonsense by the NCAA.
Appreciate you guys in the chat. You're on top of it tonight. You did a really good job. Hit the thumbs up if you could on the way out. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you listen to this in podcast form, go leave a 5-star review. Obviously, have a good week. Good luck. Win all your bets. If you need any of the links to any of the sponsors, they are in the show notes, and we'll be back tomorrow night, Thursday.
First Thursday night football. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I cannot wait to tell you guys about the rabbit hole I just went down for the last hour.
Oh, I'm dying to know. Is it about Super Bowl 16 and how unwatchable it was between the Niners and the Bengals?
Both of those scores.
Oh my God. Oh man, it was 20-0.